My name is DrSpicy and welcome to Icarus, 2021's latest and greatest addition to a genre that is more saturated than the amount of Dream Manhunt copycats on YouTube, the survival RPG genre. Think of Icarus as the love child between Subnautica and Rust, but set in space with a little bit of Tarkov mixed in to spice up the dead bedroom. You go on missions, either solo or co-op with up to 7 of your buddies to appease your corporate capitalist overlords by exploring, mining, crafting, and gathering on a savage alien wilderness in the aftermath of terraforming gone wrong. This was my first time playing the game, and I recorded the footage during a 48-hour beta weekend, so I had 10 in-game days on this planet with 3 objectives in mind to increase the stakes. Hardcore, because a god gamer isn't satisfied with playing games on normal difficulty. Obtain the 3 nuclear bioweapons, which is the main mission given to me before I head down to the planet. And escape. If you don't escape, your current character is lost forever to planet Icarus. Abandoned, stranded, and never to be seen again with nothing more than a basic "we are sorry for your loss" letter sent to the family. I'm not saying that I fulfilled all of these objectives by the end of the video, but you know, it's the thought that counts. This is our hero, Billy Tango. Doesn't he look thrilled to be thrusted down onto an alien planet with nothing but his fists? I say that because the blank stare he's giving us doesn't give me much confidence that he has more than 2 brain cells. Anyway, we start off in our spaceship, a base of operations if you will, where we will level up specific attributes and skills once we get more experience, as well as choosing missions to embark on. Unfortunately, I don't get the luxury of choice and am forced to go on a solo bio-warhead retrieval mission. I know I'm an Arab, but contrary to popular belief, I don't have any formal explosives training. Day 1 begins and it seems that the multi-billion-dollar budget for this mission was all spent on the main spaceship because I was sent down to the surface in a cramped, teeny little dropship that was no bigger than my dorm room bathroom at college. At least I had freefall and booming from my A50 speakers to keep me company, while the violent shaking of the cabin gave me more nausea than a night in bed with your mum. A beautiful mountainous landscape, fresh water, tall trees and lush greenery. It now makes sense why humanity was trying to use explosives to terraform this planet, as it is deep rooted in human nature to cause climate change wherever we go. This game has multiple skill trees. I mean, they have tech trees at level 1, 10, 20, and 30 which give access to crafting blueprints, as well as talent trees which are used to level up Billy Tango's innate abilities. For example, survival, construction, and combat. Like any good survival RPG, I start by collecting sticks and stones off the ground to fabricate some basic barbarian tools. Take a guess what I made. With my set of tools, I scoped out the area around my shuttle to see what I could find. How wild is it that even on a foreign planet, the fauna is similar to what we would find on Earth? Maybe evolution theory was a hoax all along, but boy am I glad that this game has the one staple animal that I see in every survival game. Deers. The most pathetic mob to try and kill. All these walnut-sized, smooth-brained animals do is gallop away at Mach 5 speeds if a predator even farts from over a kilometer away. Anyway, I scavenged some berries from some nearby bushes and meat from some tiny defenseless rabbits. By the way, can someone please explain to me in the comments why anyone would hold a knife like this? Bro, there isn't even anyone around to tell Billy Tango how cool he looks. It just seems wildly inefficient, especially when all he does is kill tiny animals. If you hadn't noticed by now, you gain experience in this game by gathering resources. They might as well call this game Lumberjack Simulator because there is an insane amount of woodcutting in this playthrough. This game is balanced for co-op, with different teammates learning different blueprints to work together and survive. So the solo gaming curve is quite brutal as you need to farm tons of experience to be self-sustaining. I got to level 2 and obtained blueprints for wooden structures and a campfire to build a rudimentary shack to call home. I never grew out of my fear of the dark and I didn't want to be outside when nightfall came. I also leveled up my stamina skills to let me last longer when cutting wood, mining, and running. Anyway, it's 8 PM and I still have no shelter to protect my fragile sense of security. So I blindly used echolocation to sense out the foundations and placed them down in darkness that was blacker than the edgy emo souls I knew in high school. After a few hours of hard labor, I had finally finished my world record masterpiece for the tallest man-made structure on the planet. Feeling accomplished, I head to bed early so I could get back to work during the sunshine. Day 2 starts bright and early at 7 AM. After a hearty rabbit meat breakfast, I got straight to work. My plan for the day was to gather as many resources as possible to level up my experience, eventually making a bigger base and crafting some sturdier tools. While teaching this log of wood a lesson about how I'm now the apex predator on this planet, it suddenly became sentient and fought back by launching me into a nearby tree before crashing me back down to the ground, leaving me with a precariously low health bar. These trees hit me with a 1-2 combo as a welcome present in an attempt to make me fail my hardcore objective only on day 2. Little did they know, Billy Tango doesn't go down that easily, and medical advancement made it so that it would only take 5 minutes to heal any broken bones. After mentally recovering from that near-death experience, and topping off my health, I returned to the Wildy to continue hard labor, gathering stacks of wood, stone, and oxalate in the process. I also stumbled into my first cave and farmed some iron ore which would be useful in making more advanced tools. To finish off the night, I spent most of my talent points in upgrading my stamina pool to make it more efficient to farm and run away from any predators looking to eat some juicy human meat. I decided to save my blueprint points and use them all when I reached level 10. I had most of my basic tools and it would be a waste to spend more points on low level blueprints. Day 3 was basically a continuation of Lumberjack and Miner Simulator. To be honest, I spent most of my time doing this mindlessly while watching Squid Game on my second monitor for entertainment. My attention was pulled away from the show though when a rolling thunderstorm came by to rain on my parade. Basically, these thunderstorms are nothing more than a nuisance which cause damage if you're out in the storm for too long and try to break your base with strong winds or fires started by lightning bolts. So I spent the night hammering away at my delicate twig walls to keep them from crumbling under intense winds. More of the same on day 4. Despite continuous storms trying to hinder my progress, I could smell the sweet scent of level 10 dangling in front of me. So I continued power farming, working harder than an OnlyFans user trying to promote themselves on Twitter and Reddit, with each wooden log teasing me with small incremental increases to my XP bar. After 3 hours of dedicated grinding, I reached the coveted level 10, increasing my IQ by 100 points and allowing me to research blueprints that are more advanced than my current barbaric toolset. I spent the rest of Nightfall carefully spending my accumulated 20 blueprint and talent points. With each unlocked blueprint, I got a small dopamine rush. My dedication had finally paid off. Talent points were easy enough. I used them to get more stamina efficiency and defense to keep me safe from predators. Skill points were spent on a crafting bench, an anvil, iron axe, pickaxe and knife, a stone furnace, stronger wooden structures for a second base, a wooden bow coupled with stone arrows, a textile bench, cloth armor, and finally, a water skin pouch for water on the go. I'm honestly baffled that my corporate overlords were cutting costs so much that they decided against giving me any of these basics before shuttling me down to this foreign planet. Or maybe Billy Tango decided against taking any of this equipment from the orbital shuttle because he is on that Sigma trillionaire grind set. With all of these fresh blueprints, day 5 was focused on crafting all of my upgraded tools and creating a bigger, sturdier base. One that wouldn't crumble at rumbling, smaller than the ones my stomach makes after starving myself by not eating for 2 hours. I broke my previous world record for the biggest man-made structure on the planet with my second base. This time, I made another rectangle, but bigger. Nothing like open plan living with nature right at your doorstep. By end of day, I had an iron pickaxe, iron axe, iron knife, a bow, as well as some sexy cloth armor which definitely looked like it wouldn't even defend me from a Death Squiddo sting, let alone foreign alien predators. Look at how cozy my home is. With this, I was now confident enough to finally tackle my main objective of retrieving the BioWeapon warheads. It seemed easy enough. Travel to the 3 locations and pick up some items, almost avoiding random mobs along the way. I chose the western one first. I was excited. What sort of aliens would await me on this planet? Land-walking, slimy tentacle creatures that try and anally probe you? intelligent Homo sapien-like life form similar to Harold, who walks around blasting dubstep. Levitating mind control parasites which force you to drown yourself or take off your oxygen mask? Nah, we got wolves, baby. I was certain that this wolf would be no match for me. Regardless, I played it safe, got my bow out and made some distance between us. My hands were trembling, my shots kept missing. A second wolf showed up. I whipped out my knife, stabbing the wolves, but in my panic, I fucking threw the knife onto the ground. I frantically tried to look for it with no avail. This wasn't just one wolf, it was a pack. And after losing my knife, I had nothing left to do other than accept my fate. Well, guess I failed in doing a hardcore run. I considered restarting the run, but there wasn't enough time left in the beta weekend for me to do so. I made the depressing walk back to my dropped gear before returning home to make another knife, and then taking a different and eventful route towards my objective, making little wooden platforms along the walls of cliffs to avoid the monsters below.
Okay, it's arming. Oh, I forgot to mention that. You gotta arm it to get the warhead out. But don't worry, it's only a planet-killing bioweapon. Shouldn't take long. Activating the satellite must have alerted the wildlife. Interesting. You got company. Nice work.
These motherfuckers in Space Command really like to fuck with Billy Tango. First, they send him down with nothing. Second, he has to arm the weapon before he can eject it. And third, they don't tell him about these roided up, jacked up, genetically modified freak animals? Do we astronauts not have a union or something for better work conditions? This is literally the definition of r/anti-work. Anyways, on the journey back home, another storm rolled in. No worries, I was definitely going to be able to make it back home in time before the storm depleted my health. That was what I thought until another tree decided that it wanted a piece of this human ass and conveniently decided to plummet onto my skull just as I was walking past. Two deaths in one day. I was dying so often that I couldn't even edit it out in post if I wanted to. Day 7, fresh start. I recovered my lost gear and started plotting my route to the next bioweapon. This time, venturing into the Arctic to the south of my base. It was cold enough to make your testes harden into steel balls, but thankfully, the cloth armor I was wearing combined with the torch were enough to keep me warm. This area was littered with wolves. I stuck to the cliffside to avoid any surprises from flanking predators. I spotted the polar bear from the Coca-Cola ads down below me, so I slowly climbed further up the mountain, hoping that he didn't spot me. I thought I was in the clear until Billy Tango decided that he wanted to go on an impromptu skiing session without any safety equipment on. My patience was really being tested now. New gear, quick run back, and now I'm in the middle of a flash snowstorm. I find shelter in a crack between the ice caps. Finally, some reprieve. I made the mistake of taking a little peek outside the crack and surprise, another polar bear is conveniently right there waiting for me. It took 2 cheap shots at me while I was stuck in the frozen icy walls, and I found myself respawning back at home. In the storm, out of the storm. In the storm. out of the storm. Different biomes had different weather, I guess, even if they were right next to each other. I played around with this for a little bit to numb the pain of death and to mentally plan my route through the Arctic. Day 8 and it was looking more and more like I was going to fail all 3 of my objectives. I ventured back in, taking the same cliff-hugging path I walked before, seeing remains of my previous expedition scattered along the ground, and surprisingly safely made it to the BioWeapon satellite. The snow was blindingly white, and I was struggling to spot predators in the distance. Last time I armed one of these weapons of mass destruction, Chadwick Boseman himself came charging out of the woods to try and take me down, so this time I made myself a little shelter to hide inside while the countdown completed.
Okay, it's arming. Maybe stand back, just in case. Whatever that satellite's doing.
Lo and fucking behold, I could see a Blanco walking outside. I had no idea what it was. I was happy staying inside my little hut until one of the walls broke for no reason. He seemed initially disinterested and I thought I was in the clear, but then he did a full sprint to my location once the countdown completed.
Alright, you're good. Warheads ready when you are. Don't hear that every day.
I held my breath to no avail. I tried my hardest, unleashing a flurry of headshots onto him while he was stuck in the doorway, but it was all for naught. All it took was one swipe, and I was launched into the air. Fuck you, Blanco. Respawn, make some tools, run all the way back. Thankfully, Blanco was nowhere to be seen. I collected my old gear and finally retrieved the bioweapon. 2 down, 1 to go. By day 9, I was just about ready to finish this stupid mission. I was frustrated, annoyed, and ultimately ready to get off this planet. Little did I know that I was in for a world of pain. The final bioweapon was located to the northwest of my base. This satellite was the furthest one away, and I prepared myself for a long journey. Without any map data, I had no other option than to travel northwest along the cliffsides and see what I could find. There were a couple of storms along the way that hindered my progress, but eventually I stumbled upon a new biome. Aha! The third satellite would be located in this third biome. That's what I thought, until I walked in and was met with an error message telling me that I'd be swiftly executed if I proceeded further, as if a hitman was watching me from space to make sure I didn't uncover a giant government conspiracy. Remember, this game was still in beta when I played. I spent a solid 10 minutes trying to outplay the system, but the fear of dying this far away from my base was too strong. I retraced my steps backwards and found an alternate, unexplored route. This time into a deep, dark cave, the largest that I'd seen so far. Surely this was the path to the final warhead. Nope, just another route to the desert. Maybe if I waltzed in there, I would have uncovered that this was all just a simulation. As I exited from the cave, I saw a level 69 bear. Nice. The flashbacks of the terror I experienced from the bear's white-furred cousins raced through my mind. I kept my distance and used my bow to take cheap shots from afar. Luckily for me, this dumbass got himself stuck between 2 trees. Nothing like proving how much of a god gamer I am by abusing bad enemy AI. Nighttime rolls around and I found myself a new Arctic zone to explore, which looked to be in the general direction of the warhead, so I made myself a tiny base to sleep the night away before exploring on day 10. Another steak breakfast, and I try to gather some oxalate before heading into the Arctic, but you guessed it, Mr. Big Papa Black Bear King hits me from behind. I legitimately gave out a high-pitched yelp as I saw my health bar dwindle to nothing. You guys need to understand, I am editing this video into a digestible, enjoyable 20 to 30 minute experience. For me, this was hours worth of pain and agony. The thought of having to retrace my steps was more painful than the thought of having to return to the office after working from home for 9 months during lockdown. However, I enjoyed the challenge despite the negative impacts on my mental sanity. Multiple Souls games, Ocarina of Time's Water Temple, and 10 years of League of Legends ranked mode all under my belt. I wasn't about to let a game beat me, so I did the same trek all over again, found my lost gear, and entered the Arctic. This place looked so much more vast than the last. Sheets of white snow seemed to stretch for kilometers. I followed the tried and tested method of walking along the cliffside. Most of the mobs are out of the open anyways. I wish I could say I made a lot of progress, but some wolves spotted me, and unfortunately, we all know Billy Tango has a bad habit of slipping down cliffs. Look, I know I said in the title that this video was only 10 days long, but I am one stubborn motherfucker. It took me the rest of day 10 and the start of day 11 to fashion myself a new set of gear and travel all the way back to the Arctic zone where I died. I was able to travel pretty deep this time. Things were going quite well, I was seeing new structures and land formations, and was able to avoid most enemies. I still wasn't 100% convinced that this was the way to the final BioWeapon, but I didn't have any other leads, and as we all know, guys don't like to stop and ask for directions. This was my final straw. Legs broken, hypothermic, low health. I was not surviving the rest of this trip. With the clock on the closed beta running down and my patience growing wary, I was faced with the reality that maybe I wasn't the god gamer I thought I was. I crawled into a nearby cave while letting the reality set in. Billy Tango's breaths and heartbeat growing ever louder until finally, Day 12. Look, I was done with this mission. I had accepted the fact that this mission was a complete and utter failure, and was ready to get off this planet, saving Billy Tango, and ensuring that the next time I played, I would retain all of the skills and blueprints that I had discovered. I tried to load the 2 bio warheads that I had onto my shuttle, but they wouldn't be accepted, adding insult to injury. I should have never come here in the first place. I returned to orbit and checked my mailbox, where I was awarded with a whopping $0 for my efforts. Hell yeah, brother. Let's do a little recap before I end. I failed hardcore, I failed in getting all 3 bio warheads, but hey, at least Billy Tango is still alive. What a rough time. Thank you guys for watching the video. Despite my annoyances and the difficulties I had, I sincerely enjoyed my playthrough of this game, and I hope that you enjoyed watching the video as well. If you want to see more content from me, make sure to go over to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/DrSpicyArab, and drop me a follow there, and check out my second YouTube channel, DrSpicy 2. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and join my Discord, which I am always very active on. All of these links are down in the description below. Be well, be safe, and until next time, take care of yourselves.